Okay. Oh, we've been around?
This one's up there. This one. Has everyone got a? Yes.
Okay. First thing to announce is calligraphy students, don't forget your textbooks and do your homework. Hey everyone, welcome. Glad to see you. Thanks for coming. My name is Hung Shi, and meditating in a gentle rainstorm is a nice way to go. Is anybody too hot, overheated, sweating? Nope, good, okay, because we can adjust the temperature. All righty, let's begin. We've kind of got a practice of starting with reciting the Heart Sutra. We've got two versions of the Heart Sutra. One of them is in Chinese. Everybody got one? The other one's in English on the flip side. And there's a good chance that one of these languages works for you. If you can do both, you get bonus points. The purpose of reciting is to hear it coming from your own voice with your own ears, which is a rare opportunity that we don't get these days, to recite with a group together anything. And when it's the Buddha's wisdom, it's pretty special. It goes, this is, people report that as they learn the Buddhist text, particularly chantable ones like this, they feel it's coming from inside almost, that these ideas, these principles are somehow already inherent. So when it's a language you're not that familiar with, even more is it good to let the sound kind of wash through. For the Chinese, which is probably not everyone here is got their Chinese at this level yet. So look at the Romanized sounds: G-U-A-N, Z-I, Z-A-I, P-U-S-A, like that. Guan Zi Zai Pusa. So you can try it. Just take a stab at it, and it's okay if you don't get it right the first time. Then we'll do the English. The other thing about doing the two languages is the two languages are really different. Chinese is monosyllabic, one syllable at a time. Bo, ro, bo, lo, mi, do, xin, jing. However, for the meaning units, many of them are binomes. They're two sounds. So boro is prajna. Boro mi, three sounds, paramita. So the rhythm of it is, but the ideas inside that rhythm are often multiple. English, on the other hand, is an inflected language. It's the words are much longer often, but the emphasis is different depending on how you emphasize it, right? So depending on how you emphasize it. So that's the inflected, is the stresses, heavy and light, make a difference. Now, the thing, we're going to do it together, both of them. And I want to reinforce the idea of punctuation being our friend. The periods, the commas, the white space tell us where to breathe, where to inhale, where to stop and to wait. So we recite as much with our ears as we do with our voices. we're studying calligraphy on Sundays, and you're all welcome to come check it out. Italic calligraphy. And this particular textbook in our early exercises says, as much as you pay attention to the marks you're making, look at the white space between them. Because we're not only learning forms of letters, we're learning the right spacing between letters. So that totally changes things as your eye, oh, I am seeing negative space for the first time. Right? Oh, look at that. The space is absolutely as important as the black mark in getting the eye to go down the way, not only for comprehension, but also for beauty. That's really pretty because the eye likes the space between. So likewise, as we recite, we're not using our eyes as much, we're using our ears. We want to breathe into the white spaces. That way, truly, yi ko, tong, yin, different mouths, but a single sound, meaning unison as we go. Okay, let's start with the Chinese. We'll do Namo Boro Hui Shang Fo Pu Sa 3 times to start. Namo Boro Hui Shang Fo Pu Sa. Namo Boro Hui Shang Fo Pu Sa. Namo Boro Hui Shang Fo Pu Sa. Little higher pitch. Ora Bola Mira Xin Guan Zi Zai Pu Sa Xing Shan Bora Bola Mira Jia Jian Wu Yun Jie Gong Du Yi Che Gu Shou Li Zi Si Bu Yi Kong Kong Bu Yi Si Ji Shi Kong Kong Ji Shi Shou Shang Xing Shi Yi Fu Ru She Li Zi Shi Zhu Fa Gong Xiang Bu Shang Bu Bu Gao Bu Jing Bu Zang Bu Jian Shi Gou Kong Zhong不受伤心事无言而必舍身，无思想尚未出发，无缘觉乃至无意识，无名亦无名，乃至无老死亦无老死，无苦集灭道无智亦无。一无所得故，菩提萨埵依般若波罗蜜多。心无挂碍，无挂碍故，无有空，不远离颠倒梦。究竟涅槃三世诸佛依般若波罗蜜阿耨多罗三藐三菩提。不知般若波罗蜜多是大圣咒，是大明咒，是无上咒。当当咒能除一切苦，真实不虚故说般若波罗蜜多。具受咒曰：揭谛揭谛波罗揭谛波罗。菩提萨埵。Hey, we did it. Can you flip it over? We'll do the salutation 3 times again. Homage to the Prajna assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as vast as the sea. Homage to the Prajna assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as vast as the sea. Homage to the Prajna assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as vast as the sea. The heart of Prajna Paramita Sutra, when Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara was practicing the profound Prajna Paramita, comma, take a breath. She illuminated the 5 skandhas and saw that they were all empty again. and she crossed beyond all suffering and difficulty. Period. Take a long breath. Shariputra, form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form itself is emptiness. Emptiness itself is form. So too are feeling, cognition, formation, and consciousness. Shariputra, all dharmas are empty of characteristics. They are not produced, not destroyed, not defiled, not pure, and they neither increase nor diminish. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, feeling, cognition, formation, or consciousness, no eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind, no sight, sound, smells, taste, object of touch, or dharmas, no field of the eyes, up to and including no field of mind consciousness, and no ignorance or ending of ignorance, up to and including no old age and death, or ending of old age and death. There is no suffering, no accumulating, no extinction, and no way, and no understanding, and no attaining, because nothing is attained. The Bodhisattva, through reliance on Prajna Paramita, is unimpeded in her mind. Because there is no impediment, she is not afraid, and she leaves distorted dream thinking far behind. Ultimately, nirvana. All Buddhas of the three periods of time attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi through reliance on Prajna Paramita. Therefore, know that Prajna Paramita is a great spiritual mantra, a great bright mantra, a supreme mantra, an unequaled mantra. It can remove all suffering. It is genuine and not false. That is why the mantra of Prajna Paramita was spoken. Recite it like this. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi swaha. End of the heart of Prajna Paramita Sutra. Job. Okay, we're going to go around the circle, say hello. I'll model what I'd like to hear from everybody. My name is Hung Sher. I was born in Columbus, Ohio, in the Great Lakes region of the Midwest. Somebody's right outside my window. Who's that? Somebody's talking right there. And I spent part of my year in the Bay Area of California. Got there in 1971, haven't left until I came to Australia. And I've been here now for, gee whiz. So I'm not quite 30 years on and off, but I'm now a citizen. And this is what I thought would be interesting. The question I'd like to hear from everybody is what you're learning here is the Chan, C-H-A-N, Chan Buddhist meditation. Same word that when it went to Japan became Zen. So this is the Chan school. How many kinds of meditation did you learn or practice before you got to Chan? I started out Japanese Zen and even went to Japan to pursue it. So I'm a Zen guy. I didn't do yoga meditation per se. I did yoga asanas, but I first was interested in Zen and I met it through books and then went directly to Chan. And of course, they're deeply related, so it wasn't a big step for me. Okay, let's start out with Sam.
It is that originating from Malaysia, and it's staying here for over here for I think 15 years now. I started my meditation. I think people breathing is scanning of the breathing. Then later on, I more focus on mantra.
Mantras. Oh, was it the
Mantra.
Really? Wow, that's like the deep end of the pool. Yeah, great. Okay. Oh,
My name is Elaine. I'm originally from Ipoh, Malaysia. I've been in Australia probably about 25 years. I started my meditation maybe about 2018. I started with Vipassana,
Uh-huh.
Anapanasati,
Okay.
Vipassana, and then now I want to learn more about like recite Buddha name and
Okay.
to meditation as well.
Okay. Great. Anapanasati is the Buddha really taught that first to his disciples because it's body based. Chan has a physical component, but it's definitely mind based. So it's a transition.
Yeah.
Which Vipassana group did you learn from? Goenka.
Yeah.
Did you attend a 10-day or?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Where in particular?
Sunshine Coast.
A lot of people are, that's a door that a lot of folks go through. Good. Okay. Okay, Joe?
My name is Joe, and I'm from Taiwan. Actually, it's my first time with meditation.
Nice. Okay. Terrific. Okay. Well, when within a few weeks, you'll have a solid grounding in what is, you'll be able to say, I think I know what Chan is. So. Joe?
I'm Cheryl from New Zealand, and my first meditation experience was with Vipassana, and so that was in Auckland, co-couple was actually seen there. Since then, I have done some yogic style of breathing,
Mhm.
and then that just 3 years between.
Okay. Great.
But in between, I also use mantra.
Mantras. Anyone in particular?
Yeah,
Dabechi, great compassion mantra. Okay. Terrific. Cliff?
I'm a Cliff. I was born in China, Shandong province. I have been there for 18 years now. And I first learned meditation from a Thai Buddhist temple in Bandung. It's a pond, the middle between Sydney and the camera. So just basic things like breathing, scan the body, and walking meditation. And then after I left the MBA, I started interested in China.
Okay. That's interesting. So not connected to China, there's like your parents, did they have their generation? Of course, that was harder back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Sarah, you're next.
My name is Sarah.
Okay,
And my first meditation was
here. Okay, so you got to start somewhere. So it's a good start. Okay, great.
My name is Yu. I was born in China.
Whereabouts in China? Nali.
Hebei province.
Hebei.
The northern part.
Uh,
Close to Beijing.
登封不是河北哪里？哦，河南那个河南，石家庄。
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
That's a capital city.
OK，好。
I've been in China for 9 years,
Mhm.
and I started to learn meditation because of some health issue.
Mhm.
And at first I tried a lot of methods like Chinese Qigong
Mhm. Mhm.
and some workout, but finally I found meditation is the best way. I 2 years experience of meditation.
Okay.
And, now I spend around 2 hours of meditation every day.
Okay, 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
Wow. And has your health improved? Does it do you get results that you can recognize?
Yeah, yeah,
有好处哈，
yeah.
有帮助。
Yeah.
Mm.
But I want you to offer myself. I never been to meditation classes in my first time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ian?
Hi, I'm Ian, and I was born in Western Asia. I lived in Fiji and KL for approximately to Australia about 14 years ago.
Okay.
I started what I call meditation about 6 months ago. And I do half an hour every day, but I'm pretty sure I'm not really doing it because I think I'm snoozing on.
You think you are
I'm falling asleep.
falling asleep?
Or I'm
Yeah,
really, daydreaming.
me too.
So I tried breath meditation, but I cannot watch it breath, so I find it easier for me to just recite punching. It's a lot easier to focus on it.
Mhm.
But I think it's very rare. I would just do it to I'm not investigating. More often than not, I just realize that really relax because I probably fell asleep. Or something.
Okay, right on. Yeah, no, that's great. And I appreciate your honesty and, yeah. it's good.
Hi, my name is Tatian. I grew up in Australia and I recently moved to Brisbane for work. I've never really meditated until I come here, but growing up, I had plenty of exposure to the Heart Sutra.
Okay,
Never fully recited it, nor do I know the meanings of the words. So
yeah.
hoping to learn more.
You said you encountered it early, you said?
Growing up, yeah, because
Where in the world did you move?
Just at home.
No kidding. Okay. Did your parents have a copy of it in a book or?
Yeah, my uncles.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, because we picked it at random. We've taught this class a lot, and this was just recently we hit on this. So okay, good. I'm glad you have Yo Yang. It's got affinities with the, yeah. It's, okay, great.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm from Malaysia. I moved to Gold Coast about 3 years ago. I think I started meditation when I was young, but it's more like my mom asked me to just sit there for 5-10 minutes just for the breathing. My first formal teaching is from the Vajrayana master, Vipassana. But now I'm doing a bit more on Mahamudra, so just
Okay.
yeah. So I try to do like at least 15 minutes a day. Sometimes I have extra time on the weekends, now I'll do a bit more. But I agree with Ian. Sometimes I do fall asleep. I can't really focus.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I feel like my mind is very very distant or like unable to focus, then I'll go back to Vipassana. But I realize that's an easier way to get to focus mind.
Terrific. Okay. Nancy. Yes, ma'am.
Margaret, and
Margaret.
I'm from Australia, country New South Wales. I'm a dabbler, so I'm here because I needed a whole afternoon and a day of peace, and have done some Vipassana in my day, and
Okay.
bits of this and bits of that,
Yep.
and often nothing. So today I'm here, and it's nice to be here.
Okay. Hope you get what you came for in your day of peace.
Yes.
You're welcome. Yeah. Okay. Kate, let's do Jin Shuan in the back then.
Teaching originally from Malaysia. Been here since Australia since 2007. But I only left home recently, so I'm very young with these. I don't really have much formal training in meditation. I just turn up in some retreat and I just sit there and watch my breath or recite the Buddha's name. But most of the time I fall asleep, even now. So that's my biggest obstacle.
Yep. Okay, good. Yep.
Hello, I'm Karina. I'm originally from Sydney, and I first led metta meditation and just watching the breath.
Yep. From Bhante Mahinda. Yeah. Okay, good. Kate?
I was born in Vietnam, and my experience in meditation is more than 1 year ago when I came to this temple,
Okay.
and only meditation on Sunday with them.
Mm-hmm.
And just watch my breath or recite Buddha name. And recently I just try to recite mantra when I meditate at home work.
Okay, great.
I'm Ben. I live here on the Gold Coast. I started out with a friend of mine a very long time ago, when I was 19, doing Vipassana, and he was an Indian yoga teacher. So it wasn't Gongpa Vipassana, it was Vipassana from the sutras, basically. And he was a serious sitter. He used to sit a lot. So I sat with him, I learnt that, and then later on, we dabbled in various other things. Maharishi came along, all the sort of things, and then I started doing Vipassana again, and I did quite a few retreats in that, and then discovered that the monastery was just around the corner from where I lived one day, and here I am, sitting down. So I found, Vipassana had a sort of a ceiling in it where you got to a certain place and then there was no spirituality in it. It just, you could just sit there and it was good for you, and all that sort of thing, but there was no progression in it there. Whereas Chan, probably a little bit more challenging, personally, but a lot more rewarding, I think.
Great. Okay. So many of you heard the word Vipassana, which I think is maybe new to some of us. That is one method, one technique. Anapanasati, you heard also. That's another technique. And let me give you, just for folks who are, you said she'd never sat with a group before, and this is Joe's first experience with meditation and all. So, what you found here at Gold Coast Dharma Realm, our strangely named monastery convent here, this is mainstream Buddhism. This is the real. If Buddhism was a church, you found it. This is it. We're not a church, but there are a lot of church-like elements in a Buddhist monastery. This is purely that. We trace our roots back 2,500 years directly. And in that long period of time, the men and women who come to learn, to study, to explore here, go in different paths, diverse ways to do that. It's a real living community. And one of them is seated meditation. 2 weeks ago, I talked about 5 schools, 5 different ways that people find themselves engaged in things the Buddha taught. So seated meditation got the name Chan, C-H-A-N. Looks like Chan. If you say Chan, people get it. Japan, it was Zen. In Korea, the same word is called Son. What it means essentially are 2 things. Chan comes from an Indian word called dhyana. The Chinese couldn't pronounce dia. They didn't have that in Chinese language, so they went Chan, dhyana, Chan, not dhyana. And it's 2 ways of looking at the mind. And one is your thoughts rise and you watch them rise. And then you notice that they fall, rising, falling. Everything that rises in the mind ceases in the mind. You don't get involved. You don't pick and choose. You watch them. That's Vipassana. It's called contemplating. You contemplate. Now, to do that, you have to be awake. You have to be alert. You have to be watching. If you're still fuzzy, like Jin Shen and I both had that same habit of nodding out a lot while meditating. If you're fuzzy and nodding, of course, you don't notice. You need to be clear before you can actually engage in that practice. And there is a way to get there. That's part of the practice. Being fuzzy at the start is you're on the path. It's not that you're a failed Vipassana sitter if you're nodding. It's not the case. You're a failed meditation sitter if you don't meditate. So if you're meditating and nodding and fuzzy, be patient. There are methods. We'll get there. So that's one, rising and falling. There's another one, which is also the second half of the definition of the word Chan or Zen, and that's called calming. The Chinese for contemplating or Vipassana is Guan Xiangfa. The Chinese for the calming is called Zhi. And what that means is, as soon as a thought rises, you take a broom and you sweep it away. You take a sword and you dice it to bits. You take a Hoover vacuum cleaner and you suck up that thought in your mind. In other words, you don't, not only do you not engage, you also don't watch it rise and fall. You move those thoughts out. It's a different technique, also based on the idea that you're watching and able to see what's going on in your mind. Okay, so two methods. One is contemplating, one is calming. They're called Qi and Guan. Shamatha is the calming. Vipassana is that's the Sanskrit name for the Chinese, which is Zhi Guan, for the English, which is calming or contemplating. Why two? You need them both. A skillful meditator watches thoughts rise. Sometimes you just really don't want to get in there and, get rid of your thoughts. You just want to calmly let them rise and fall. Let them rise and fall. And recognize, I thought I was angry. There's this angry thought. It's funny, that's not me. That's an angry thought that's now gone. Oh, I guess I am not an angry person, and I'm not pushed around by my angry thoughts. That's helpful. That's progress, right? To just calmly watch it rise and fall. The other way, the shamatha, is in there and you're sitting, you say, okay, here comes anger. Who has the angry thought? Where did that angry thought come from? Does anger have something in front of it, before it? Oh, look at that. Anger is a result of frustrated desire. Where did that desire thought come from? Do I really want what my mind says I want? If I got it, would I be happy? I've got a perfectly good car and I realize that I'm driving down the freeway, checking all the Teslas go by, thinking, gee, if only I had it. Right? Oh, I'm sure glad I don't have a Tesla because I don't want to give Elon Musk another dollar. Oh, you get suddenly, it's like, whoa, look at that. So if your neighbor who you don't like has a Tesla, where's the jealous? Oh, okay. Oh, that's really helpful. I don't need to pursue any of those while I'm meditating. That's very helpful, right? So different ways of using the mind, calming and contemplating, both are in the definition of Chan. Okay, so that's our school. Now, this is really key though. What about those fuzzy thoughts? What about every time I cross my legs, I fall asleep? That's my personal experience. Meditation, from the way the Buddha taught it, is the second step. And this is where our school really makes a contribution, but becomes, I guess you'd say, unhip or unpopular, which is what? If meditation, I can't meditate because I'm always falling asleep. What precedes? When I wake up in the morning, I'm not sleepy. Why when I meditate, am I sleepy? The answer is found in what I do with my eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind before I meditate. A technical way to say it is the Buddha said, Shila, Samadhi, Prajna is our formula. Shila, not doesn't mean a girl in Aussie talk. Pay attention to Shila there. Shila is how I behave. Specifically, if I'm running out my eyes, pursuing beautiful sights, rejecting unhappy sights, if I'm running out my ears, believe it or not, if I'm pursuing beautiful sounds and rejecting negative sounds, nose, tongue, body, pursuing pleasure and rejecting displeasure, unpleasant feelings, and most of all the mind, just constantly involved in loving and hating, picking and choosing, or simply exhaustion, just overdoing it, spending too much time swiping left, for example. In all of those actions during the day, I lose energy. Shila is a Sanskrit word which means precepts, or to precept, to cut away, to refrain or restrain. So the first step in the way we teach Chan is to look at what I do with my body, my words, and my speech during the day. If I can catch the that are called outflows. This is technical Buddhist language, right? We're into the process right now. So if I'm outflowing out my eyes, my ears, my nose, my tongue, my body, and most of all my mind all day long, when I sit still and go, okay, I'm going to meditate now, what I discover is out of gas. There's this kind of hollow, empty feeling, and pretty soon, oh my goodness, just cotton wool, you know. And instead, we have a practice called the Eightfold Precepts, the Ba Guan Zai Jie, it's a ceremony where lay people come and for 24 hours or longer if they choose, they follow the training rules of a monk or nun for a day. They stay home, you don't eat afternoon, you sleep alone, you're not with a partner, you watch your speech. Some people take silence vows for 24 hours. What they report over and over again is, wow, I had no idea that I was losing so much energy out in the world. If only I could do this every day, my meditation would be bing, right? Simply by coming to the monastery and reducing all the outflow, that energy is still with us. It's not that we have less energy in the world, it's that we let it go, we send it out, we pursue, we spend, you can doom scroll yourself into major frustration, right? People are reporting that. I heard a really interesting podcast yesterday. This guy was saying, what's going on with the rise of right-wing authoritarianism worldwide? Why are so many countries going for strong man government away from democracy? The answer was, doom scrolling on your phone increases your anxiety. You feel really insecure and you want to find somebody who will fix it fast. We're doing it to ourselves by going, oh my God, oh no, oh my God, oh, I can't believe it. And story after story, TikTok video after TikTok video. And pretty soon we just need some security. So we go for someone who promises strength, and it's like, that's terrifying that social media has led to dictators. Is that true? That's interesting. Okay, so here's the idea. That's major outflowing. Our school says Shila, that's to say, keep track of our energy that we send out in all directions all day long. Samadhi is the second one, which is a state of focus. And then prajna, then the wisdom arises. And the goal of the Buddha's leaving home, the Buddha's going out from the palace to practice, was to have wisdom, to see whether or not he could penetrate the veil of mortality. Actually, he didn't want to just die like anyone. So that's our practice. Shila, Samadhi, Prajna, precept, samadhi, and wisdom, or restraint of our cherishing our energy. That's letting it stay with us instead of shooting it out the six senses. Then focus, and then insight arises. So now I can hear Jin Shensher saying, yeah, but I live in the monastery. What's wrong with me? Why am I, I'm already here, and yet I haven't. So I was the most famous instant sleeper in lectures. As soon as we go through the day, and Master Hua our teacher would start lecturing at 7:30, and at 7:35, I was sitting right there in full lotus, like a real meditator, boom, and it got to be a joke. People would I was a running joke. And I could cross my legs just fine and no problem in full lotus, but asleep right away. And it had to do with what I was doing with my six senses during the day before meditating. So that's interesting. Now, why do I say that makes us kind of unpopular or not hip? It's because it sounds really moralistic. It sounds like, oh, you've been bad, that's why you can't meditate, in a negative way of saying it. And that's not the point. The point is, when we come to meditate, this is a very physical practice. You notice, this is not meditation the way the Buddha teaches it, is not an idea. And it's not being good. It's a physical, spiritual, intellectual, emotional process where we sit still and review the contents of the mind. The mind is really the key when we meditate, not the body. We can practice counting the breath, anapanasati, this method of shu xiguan, counting the breath, to get started. But ultimately, we have to review what's in our mind. And if we can say, like, to ourselves in the morning, I'm going to be meditating this evening. I want to have a different experience. So I'm going to cherish my own energy during the day. And if I don't really need to, I'm not going to run after it. I'm not going to allow myself to be frustrated over shifting geopolitical alliances. I'm not going to be frustrated over the price of eggs. I'm not going to let so-and-so who I'm arguing with get my goat. I'm not going to give them a hard time. I'm going to definitely not get angry today and find a way to be patient instead, because why? I want that energy present when I sit, because I want my meditation to start to work, right? So if you can say that, definitely what you'll discover during the day is, man, oh man, I had no idea how much one blast of anger costs me in energy. I just burn it up, and I feel so, after I've let somebody have it on the phone or even in a tweet, or in a text message, it just burns up your energy. And then when it comes time to sit, you don't have it. It'll come back the next day, but when you're sitting, it's not there. So in other words, our school says the sitting is the second step. The first step is how I live as a person in the world with my relationships before I sit determines the quality of the sit. Truly, it is the case. And one of the most amazing things that I discovered was, it sounds esoteric, but it's true, I was losing energy out my ears. Strange. I'm a musician and also a translator, and I depend on my ears a lot. And simply one day, Master, and I should say more about my name that I got as a monk had to do with telling the truth, not telling falsehoods, not lying, focusing on telling the truth, 真实 in Chinese. And so when I really paid attention to the words I was speaking, and I made myself a promise that if it was the slightest bit exaggerated for effect, if it was the slightest bit gossipy or harsh, I wasn't going to say it. I was going to swallow it back. Just don't launch those sounds into the world. When I did that, and I said, I want to keep my ears present, and I just said, pull the energy back from my ears, I got a boost in my meditation. It was astonishing. Who knew that simply by not sort of closing the gates of my ears, I was also outflowing. Truly, 这个是想不到的啊！关那个耳朵的门 turn it back. And there's actual text support for that in the Shurangama Sutra, where Guanyin Bodhisattva says, 耳根这个反闻闻自性，性成无上道, that I turn the hearing back to listen to my own nature until that nature accomplishes the unsurpassed way. You really do turn the hearing back. And I was like, I thought that was just an idea. No, it actually did that. When I did it, it was like, whoa, who knew? Could it be true with the nose and the tongue and the body as well? So this is the way we teach it here, and it's profound. It makes a huge difference. Seeing the meditation as a second step. All righty, so there we go. That's kind of an introduction to what we're doing here, and there's another part of it which we need to say, which is meditation is. Americans like to use the word fun too much. No, everything has to be fun for you. Meditation's fun. It's really fun. It's one of my favorite activities. Why do you meditate? Because I really like it. I just like sitting still and finding out what's on my mind. When I know what's on my mind, I make fewer mistakes. When I just watch it, when I review it, I just see the landscape, the inner landscape. I know that if I have buttons, when I see cruelty to animals, I lose it. Ordinarily you think a monk ought to be very calm. Yeah, see, there's some verification. It's good for you. So Currawong's chorus. So people think monks shouldn't get angry, right? And I try my best, but if I see somebody just abusing an animal, even more so than a child, it's like the human is, at least the child has a chance to, it's a more level playing field. Animals, birds, reptiles, insects. And I'm somebody who used to squash spiders, just a normal kid. When in Toledo, we had a community fishing hole called Walden Pond. I kid you not. Walden Pond had carp and catfish and things. And we would make dough bait, bacon grease with cornmeal, and then put it on a hook and throw it on the water. And I caught a giant carp at Walden Pond. And these carp are so tough, they are so indestructible, that I took it home on my bicycle basket wrapped in wet newspaper, showed it to my mother. And she said, "Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Look at how that fish is suffering." And I looked at it, and sure enough, I could see the fish was still alive, on its last leg. So I got a garbage can, and this is fresh water. So we pulled it for the fresh water, put it back in, carried the garbage can back to Walden Pond, dumped the fish out, and determined that I wasn't going to fish anymore. And it was a turning point. And then, like a day or so later, there were blue jays. We have big blue jays, and not like California scrub jays, but different, in Ohio. And I had a slingshot with serious, silver, not BBs, 3 times BB pellets. Ball bearings, yeah. And I killed a blue jay out of the tree, and it fell down to the ground dead. And I looked at it, and something inside me said, "You made a mistake. You shouldn't have done that." And I knew it in my conscience told me that. And then the entire blue jay family let me know. Every time I set foot outside the house, I got dive bombed. They picked me out, and for a year after that, until winter came and they had to migrate, I was persona non grata. And something about that was, I think I was 11 or 12 years old. And those 2 experiences with the fish and the bird just turned something or woke something up. So anyway, I have places where I have blind spots. That's a button that I have. But bit by bit, you get to know your mind, because why? You're sitting with it. You're watching it. And that's fun. I would much rather do that than listen to yet another, what do they say? Liberals' tears, right? There's lots of liberal tears podcasts these days, right? I don't know, we got to get it together somehow. So, yeah. It's okay. So there we go. Going around listening to everybody's story, we have a whole variety of ways to meditate. And I also want to say that nobody said mindfulness, interestingly. And that's a new thing. Mindfulness is this new phenomenon that is rooted in Buddhist practice originally. And meditation is not Buddhist circle R, Buddhist trademark. It's not. There is ancient Jewish meditation, Devakut. There is Christian contemplation. There is Sufis from Islam have methods of meditation. So this is something that people do. And it's deeply, deeply beneficial. It's even more of a survival skill these days. I want to finish with where I've been talking right through our hour here. There's a great story that some of you have heard the story. When the fight or flight impulse that arises in the mind under periods of deep duress and stress probably has been with us since humans were out in nature and were seen as prey by saber-toothed tigers or wolves or whatever it was, back when we didn't have houses for protection. If you saw something that could eat you, you flight, you run fast up a tree and try to get away. The thing about the fight or flight reflex is that you need a period of recovery afterwards. The adrenals, the parasympathetic and sympathetic, all those nervous systems get exercised and juiced, and then you have to recover because there's a finite amount and you use it all, and then you have to recover. What people are discovering is that a day on the freeway, on our beloved M1 here, triggers the very same fight or flight response. The problem is, if you do it twice a day, every day, we're always in a low stress, low level fight or flight set of reactions. We get exhausted, we burn out. Sleep doesn't restore it enough often. And so what do? We turn to caffeine or just, can't cope. Meditation has been shown to replenish those systems more quickly than sleep, more thoroughly than sleep. So it is indeed a survival tool these days to cope with everything that the world is throwing at us. So what I'd like people to do this week, as you, if you sit at home, is ask yourself, okay, I'm going to sit however my posture, however I like to sit, my choice. And as I calm, notice what's going on with your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, and your body, and your mind, and see if you can gently disengage. The Buddha described 6 senses, 6 sense objects, and then 6 consciousnesses. So the objects are the sights, the sounds, the smells, the tastes, the touch, and the dharmas or the thoughts. Consciousness is right there in between, telling the difference. Oh, I heard a currawong. Currawong's not singing now. Oh, there's a magpie, like that. That's the consciousness function. So as we sit, take the 6 senses and just briefly see if you can disengage. Just let your eyes find their own space. maybe just down to the floor without noticing the knot or the grain or the reflection. Just let it just settle. Let your ears disengage from the process of identifying and reacting to sounds. Just briefly, just let it do and say, I don't have to pursue it. I don't have to chase out. Let it disengage. Smells, tastes, touch. That's a challenge because I've got pressure in my legs and my back and you know, the temperature and the skin and all that. But just say, yeah, let it come home. Bring it home. And the key one, mind. Just let your mind go, okay, thoughts rising, fine. I'll deal with it later. Not that I'm chasing thoughts out, that's too much effort. Not that I'm, you know, ignoring thoughts, that's not true either. Disengage. Let the mind find its own place. And see if there is a place where these senses arise. Is it under the skin? Is it in the head? Where do the senses come from? The Buddha described they call it Liu Gan Man Tou, the 6 gates of the senses. So where are they, especially the body? 84,000 gates? What is it? The thing is, we know the answer to those questions. This is our unit, yet we don't know how to operate, right? Get to work, seeing if we can become better at operating our unit. This thing that was given to us, it's like a danwei, right? This is mine. How come I don't know how to make it work? Because when we become Buddhas, it's the very same unit. You don't get a new one to become a Buddha, right? It's the same one. We just know how to use it better, how to take control, take charge. Okay, is that a good homework assignment for meditators? And then come back and see if does that work? I find it very helpful when I can give and as Guan Yin says, Fan Wen, turn the hearing back. The eye is called Hui Guang. You return the light of the eye. Hui Guang Fan Zhao. You look within, you introspect, right? So, can I actually become good at that? And it's not strength, it's just a thought that it's like a hinge, you know, turn it. What that can do, if you get good at it, is you can be right in the middle of a busy mall, Robina town center, and you're not outflowing. You're not losing any energy to the world outside. You're not attaching, 不垢不净, right? You're, as it says, where was it? Let's see here. There is no suffering, no accumulating, no cessation, and no way, no understanding, and no attaining, right? You're right in the middle of Robina Town Center, and yet you're free from any of the attachments. And yet you're not like becoming a robot or a zombie either. It's a skill. It's subtle, but that's real skill. So this is our practice for the week, is to see if we can't take charge of our 6 senses. The goal being to keep our energy in, so when we come to meditate, we're full of our Jing Qi Shen, full of our energy. Questions? Ian, you're pondering that. I'm watching your reactions, and what do you think? Did any of that make sense?
Yeah, about meditation, am I correct to say that you're trying to observe the mind?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is?
That's one of the 6. But you want to observe your eyes and your nose and your tongue and your body as well. Because that's where the fuzziness, that's where we lose it. That's where the energy goes out. So if you can observe them during the day, when it comes time to sit, yeah. And the alternative to that is to be what? Out of control in a, more severely or less severe way. Somebody who is totally a slave to their desires, their impulses, is totally out of control. And that's, of course, that's not polite. So we kind of let societies restrain us. But when you see somebody who's through their meditation is really in charge, they're so cool. They kind of go through, nothing upsets them. They go through the world kind of like a ship at full sail, and yet they're connected. They're not detached. They're not like not caring at all, but they're able to take charge of themselves so well. And I want to say, somebody who is driven by impulses and desires is not free. When you see a really skillful meditator who's in charge, there's so many choices. They can choose to get angry, choose not to. They can choose to, to be depressed or not, right? Because they're in charge. So this practice really gives us more choice and more freedom. Just don't be mean to an animal in front of me. Go ahead.
So, can I ask
Go, go, go.
a question?
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier on before you said one of them was where you watch it rising
Mhm.
and let it go, and then the other where you eradicate, and the moment it comes, you
Yeah.
you cut it. So when
That's called shamatha. It's calming. So the calming requires a kind of a tool. We said broom, sword, vacuum cleaner. So those are all just a contemplation that as a thought rises, you don't engage it. You sweep it away. In order to do that, you have to watch. And if I'm nodding, I'm not watching anymore. I just had lunch after my lecture this noon, and I went back to eat, and then I had some time to meditate. And sure enough, because all of the blood sugar was down in my stomach, instead of meditating, I could just see the fuzz come, just like clouds, very unsatisfying. I have no idea what thoughts were rising. So what do you say? A pre-requirement, a requirement for both contemplating or calming is that you're able to watch your thoughts rise. Let's give another example. Before we get in our meditation to a place where we can watch our thoughts, we're like a radio dial not tuned to the station. You're getting, and it's there's a signal, but it's right. And as soon as this afternoon's news, today's news, that's what it's like as we tune in. How do you do it? Sitting more. If you only sit once on Saturday afternoon, you never quite get to the signal. But there will be a time, if you sit regularly, if you give yourself, 15 minutes a day, regularly, every day, there will be a time in a week or two where when you sit, it's like, wow, I've seen that thought come up a lot recently. You're like, hey, I'm actually noticing, I'm actually seeing my thoughts. That's when you can employ the calming method or the contemplating method. Until then, it's still, the radio is not quite on signal.
is it correct to do the calming first and then
A good meditator has both. And some people only use one a whole lifetime because they tend to be, some people are like super intellectual. So their minds are always racing, they're quick. And I have 2 or 3 languages running through my head all the time. I have multiple lines in my hands. And so for me, I need the calming a lot more. I need to sweep out thoughts, just don't engage. If I were to watch them rise and fall, it'd be endless, right? So I use a mantra, which I employ as soon as my thoughts rise, I hit my mantra in there, sweep them away. Other people they don't have such incredible like flashing thoughts, but they can dream, they can drift, right? So they tend to have big schemes, or they can get lost in a daydream. So the contemplating is good. You can say, oh, you know what? That idea is gone. My emotions, I notice I'm feeling really, upset. Where did that thought go? It's gone. Oh, so I am not upset. That's a thought, and you get in touch with the way your mind works by using the method called vipassana, contemplating, watching it rise and fall. So different mentalities need different tools. These are just two. Later on, we're going to get into contemplations, that they're thoughts that you pose over your mind, and it's to get different results. So a skillful meditator has like a doctor's bag, 5 or 6 methods that you use and employ when you need to. So this is a lifetime of practice. My colleague, former monk Heng Chao, has used one method his entire life. He's never picked up a second meditation method. He uses Om Mani Padme Hum, the mantra, and he contemplates, watches his mind with this. He has 3 lines on his hand: head line, heart line, and a lifeline. He's got a black belt in Taekwondo. He's a hugely visual, physical guy. He was a halfback on the football team. And one method is fine, and he really gets a lot of mileage out of his one method. I've used 6 methods, and I'm, swapping them out back and forth constantly. So everybody has a different medicine bag, but you got to start somewhere. We're over time here. I've taken you past your time. Can we, do you all have a song sheet or not? If you don't know the dedication of merit? What's that? No, okay. We need to make a wish, send a wish to the world, however you would like to improve things. We're having a lecture tomorrow at 1:30, looking into a sutra that has full of the Buddha's wisdom, called the Flower Garland Sutra. It's a great story. There's a pilgrim on a pilgrimage looking to become a Buddha. I should mention tomorrow the method is one of the most esoteric, cool, and far out forms of meditation. It's called the wheel of syllables. The teacher tomorrow is teaching Sudana how to contemplate it's called the Zilun, and it's like unbelievably imaginative and cool. I won't say any more about it, but it's tomorrow we get to hear about it. So. May every living being, our minds as one, life, share the fruits of peace, with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see, our hands and hearts can find unity. May our minds away to great passion, wisdom, and to God's fond reward. May all who sorrow be their grief and pain. May His boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. because our hearts are one. This world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate